Hello everyone, welcome to Gersh's Gaming. We're doing something a little bit new and different today. Instead of going through a Diamond or Rage Quit, this is going to be the first in a new series called Gersh's Guides, where I sit down with a game that's maybe not as well played. I don't think there's as many good resources out there, or maybe I think the resources that out there are crap. And we take a look at the game and offer some advice on how to play it and how to have fun with it. So today, we're going to be looking at a game that I just recently picked up called Valkyria Chronicles. Listen to that music. Isn't that great? Alright, so I picked this game up on Steam a couple of weeks ago, and in looking through some of the resources and stuff online, I was trying to get a better sense of how the item and XP system worked, and I just didn't have any good resources, so I figured it out on my own, and I'm sharing it with you. So, I'm going to try not to spoil anything. I'm about a third of the way through the game right now, maybe a little more than a third of the way through the game, and I just want to go through and talk about sort of what your different options are for spending XP and money. So first off, eventually you'll get to headquarters. You'll start with the top 4 of these items. These two come later, and I believe the 7th one actually doesn't require any expenditure of XP and money, so the fact that I haven't gotten there, you don't have to worry about. So up in the top right corner, you see the XP and the money. You earn these by going through the game and doing the various missions. And when I've accumulated a nice solid chunk of money and XP, like I have right now, you come back to headquarters. And this is kind of the order I go through things. So first, you start with the war cemetery. And well, I'll just show you what that looks like.
Hello again, son. I'm sorry, but I have nothing I can teach you now. Work at making the last one yours.
So at the war cemetery, you run into this guy, the aged gentleman. I believe this is the only thing that happens at the war cemetery, and the aged gentleman will teach you orders, which are specific, let's call them special moves, special buffs that you can deploy on a single person or on your squad when you're in combat. Now, the thing is, the aged gentleman will teach you 10 orders. That's what he has the capability to teach you, but he will not necessarily have an order to teach you every time you come and talk to him. You have 15 chances because there's 18 chapters in the game, and you can talk to the aged gentleman the first time after you complete chapter 3. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way through 18. And that's 15 times to talk to the aged gentleman. Every time you talk to him, depending on the chapter, well, okay, so he will offer you up to 1 order per chapter. But once he offers you an order, you can train that anytime until you finish the chapter. So let me try explaining that one more time. Each time you end the chapter, when you go and talk to the aged gentleman, he will either have an order to teach you or he won't. If he doesn't have an order to teach you, he won't have an order to teach you until you end the chapter and start the new one, and then the game rolls again. If he does, whatever order he has available, you have until the end of that chapter to purchase it. And you purchase these orders with XP. Now, if you've already gotten an order from him, then this is the dialogue that you say where he says, "I have nothing I can teach you now."
I hope we'll meet again. Should you wish, you can likely find me here.
Now, there's a way to game the system a little bit if you want to get all 10 orders as quickly as possible, and that is save your game before you talk to the aged gentleman for the first time once you unlock a new chapter. If he has nothing to teach you, reload your game and ask again. Now, you can game this further by you know, if you're trying to get a specific order, and you can go to the Valkyria wiki, which is pretty easy to Google, but I'll put a link in the description of this video as well. You can go to the wiki to see what the available orders are, and you can just game it asking him over and over and over again until you find the one order that you really want. I think that's kind of overdoing it, but because you only have 15 chances to get 10 orders, and the chance to have him offer you one seems about 50-50. I really don't think that there's any qualms with asking him sort of more than once by reloading and saving until you actually get an order. Alright, so that's the first thing. Spend your XP there first, because you don't want to spend your XP everywhere else and then go to the war cemetery and be like, uh-oh, now I have no XP to purchase an order with. There is a way around that too that doesn't involve saving and reloading your game. I'll get to that in a little bit. The next place that I would go after the War Cemetery is Castlefront Street. Isn't this artwork gorgeous, by the way?
Dropping by to read the writing on the wall? That's a good man. Oh, and how about the new rising star of Squad 7, huh? I've heard some wild stories. You must be proud.
So when Ms. Ellett says this line when you go to Castlefront Street, it means that one or more members of your squad have distinguished themselves in combat in some way. And this causes two things to happen. First is that they gain an extra personal potential, and I'll show you what those are in a little bit when we get to like the squad barracks and the command room. But basically, generally speaking, it's an extra positive ability that they have. The second thing is it updates their personnel tab, their sort of personnel file, in the book, and I'll show you that as well.
I couldn't help but snipe him with a pop interview. You'll have to read it once I get it all drafted up.
Now, here at Castlefront Street, you have these various sort of setting-enhancing stories that Ms. Ellett has written that you can read, but that's not why we're here, and I'm not going to spoil any of this.
So, come to make a donation to the Get Ellett's Name on a Book Fund?
So this is why we're here, is that every once in a while, Ms. Ellett will have an additional little mini-story that you unlock with money. As you can see, I've gotten all three of them here, and she doesn't have a new one available, but again, you don't want to spend all of your money on weapons, which we'll get to in just a moment, and then have no money left to buy the new story bit. Now, having said that, because all of these story pieces are optional, the consequence, I think, for not getting these story bits is small, but I like them, so I might as well spend them anyway. And if you're spending this much time with the game, honestly, it's because you like the characters and you like the story, so you'll want to do this. Probably. If you don't, I don't think there's any issue with you completely skipping this part. So we're going to exit Castlefront Street.
Come back and see the writing on the wall again soon. I'll be waiting for you.
Alright, so after Castlefront Street and the War Cemetery, the next place I go is the training field, where you meet this wonderful man.
Nightmare, maggots! Train all you want. I've got all day.
Now, you can pretty easily go on one of the wikis and find out, basically, when you level up a class, a couple of things happen. First off, the class gets some really minor statistical bonuses that are actually mostly hidden, and I find that kind of annoying. But, like, if you level up the Scout, which I'm going to do, you spend XP, basically, to level up, or say, no, I don't want to do that. Once you sort of confirm, then the XP is spent. So, when you level up a class, you get some minor statistical bonuses that apparently the level up from 10 to 11 is a huge statistical bonus. So that's one that you kind of want to push for on all your classes. The second thing is you may unlock a new order. We talked about orders before. Or you may unlock what's called a battle potential. And again, we'll talk about potentials in a little more detail once we get to the squad barracks screen. Suffice to say, you know how I said personal potentials? Most of the time are good, sometimes they're bad. Battle potentials are always good. and they're always pretty powerful, too. So, as an example, let's level up the scouts to 7. So you see up in the top right corner, I now have less XP because I spent it on leveling the scouts.
Good work, maggots! You're one level closer to human.
Alright, so he didn't say anything else, which meant that the scouts just got a statistic bonus. No new orders, no new no new potentials. Now, we're going to do a lot more leveling up here real quick, because I actually don't know when the orders and potentials come in. I decided not to look that up. So let's see what happens if I do this. See if we can get an order or a potential.
Sweat, sweat, sweat! Good work, maggot!
So that didn't get me anything either. We're going to try one last time. I want to pull the Lancers and the Snipers up another level, and let's pull the Shock Troopers up a level. And that will spend the majority of my XP.
Bite the bullet! No pain, no gain! Good work, maggots! You're one level closer to human!
And it says this in the game, but one thing I think is worth mentioning is your entire class levels up together. So now, all of my Shock Troopers are going to be level 8. All of my Lancers are going to be level 7, etc.
Looks like that section beat a new potential out of the Snipers!
So when he says that, that means the Snipers, all of the Snipers, now have an additional battle potential. There's 4 battle potentials for each class that are available. That battle potential may be different depending on the character, but they have it now.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Clearance for a new order. Put it to good use out there.
Now, what's kind of annoying is we don't know, unless you level up each class individually and don't do it in kind of groups like I've been doing here, you actually don't know whether that order came from leveling up the Shock Troopers or the Lancers or the Snipers or whoever it is. But that probably came from the Lancers, right? Because this order raises an ally's anti-tank attack power. Alright, so, we're done. Exit the training field.
Come back anytime you're ready to sweat.
Alright, next, let's go to the R&D facility and buy more guns.
Welkin, bro! I'm stoked you're here, man. What can I do you for?
Alright, so, we'll start by developing weapons. Okay, so these are all of the different weapons you can get. And then down here is upgrades to the Edelweiss. The Edelweiss is your tank. So, let's just dive right in. You can hit all of these upgrades at the same time. So, at the beginning of the game, you'll see these 4 here, and a lot of them will be like, basically like grayed out with question marks. And these are just straight upgrades. You can see at the bottom the statistics. I've already gotten these upgrades. That's why you see the gun there. That means I've gotten it. This upgrade cost 500. This upgrade cost 2,000. This one cost 4,500. But you can see the versus person and versus armor damage is going up. The range is going up. Now we come down here and we have unlocked 3 different kinds of rifles. Okay, so firepower boost, you can see, takes, if we go up here, versus person is 24, versus armor is 45, 5 shots. This, 26 and 51, pretty solid firepower boost. This one, the accuracy boost, take the range from 360 to 380, and that versus armor is just a little bit lower than the firepower boost. The added effect, this does less damage. It does less damage than the current rifle does, actually. But what it does is it has an additional effect. Oh, and the accuracy is worse too. Is it has an additional effect of lowering the defense of the target that it hits. Now, I have a crap load of money, so I'm going to be unlocking at least the accuracy boost.
It's done. This one's perfect, bro.
And I want to unlock the added effect.
It's done. This one's perfect, bro.
And if I still have money left at the very end of all of this, I'm going to come back and buy the other stuff. So I'm not going to get the firepower boost for now. But the reason why I got these two, let me back up just a moment, is rifles are used by scouts and engineers. Okay? The engineers, because they're supposed to be sort of combat spoilers, right? They're supposed to be buffing your guys, healing the tank, healing you, disarming mines, stuff like that. I think I want to equip my my engineers with this defense down one, just as a start, right? Because that will help them. You know, they shoot someone, it lowers their defense, and then you have a shock trooper come in and just murder them. That's an idea. Alright, let's move on. So, the rest of this screener... Oh, one last thing I should say back here. So, I've unlocked these. You see, this is still question mark. This means I haven't gotten far enough in the game to unlock whatever this upgrade is, which is probably a better accuracy boost, a better defensive down, what have you. Alright, so then you can go through this on all of the other guns. They're all pretty much the same. Machine guns are used by your shock troopers. Anti-tank lances are used by your lancers. I'm sure as heck gonna buy that. Let me do that real fast.
Here you go, bro. All done.
The sniper rifles, again, same thing. Added effect, accuracy boost, firepower boost. Hand grenades, not as many upgrades on those, which is a shame, because I like the hand grenades quite a bit. Uniforms. Now, this is basically the armor, if you will, that's worn by every unit except Lancers. Because of that, I always upgrade the uniform, because I think it's super important. Always want to keep that defense high. The blast suits are worn just by the Lancers, and I think it's actually kind of silly that the R&D cost for the blast suit is the same as for the actual uniform. If I was designing the game, I would have made the regular uniform a little bit higher. I'm gonna skip this for now, and we're back to rifles. So, quit out of that, and we're gonna go down to the Edelweiss and see what we can upgrade there. So, Edelweiss, there's two different types of upgrades on 3 different screens. So, there's basically what I call passive bonuses, which are just statistical upgrades to the tank, which are on this tab called body enhancements. If you go over to the treads and other and the attack support, these are basically bonus items that you're unlocking. And I will show you how to equip the items in just a moment. But first, let's start with the body enhancements. So there's 3 columns here. Basically call it offensive, defensive, and well, it's really 2 types of defense. So like these upgrades have been like increasing hit points. These over here increase defense. The better your defense, the less damage you take. Right now I have all of these unlocked except this one, which I'm just going to get. So when I spend the 11,700 DCT Ducats, I think is what they're called, and buy this upgrade,
All set for...
my machine gun now just does more damage versus person and armor. I don't know why I'd be using the machine gun against armor, but, you know, it is what it is. That just happens. Now, for the rest of these upgrades, I have to buy them, and then I have to equip them. Okay, so, for example, this hard steel plate. This increases my crit defense, basically making it harder. So on the back of the tank, there's an exposed radiator. It's glowing blue. You can't miss it. This increases the defense of that particular spot and makes it less likely for me to instantly die if a Lancer gets behind me.
Whew, it's done. This one's perfect, bro.
Alright, now to equip it, it then takes you to this screen immediately, okay? And what I have here is I have a whole bunch of parts equipped, and that is what you see on the right, you know, that the selector's kind of moving around, is basically these, I don't know what you want to call them, these plates that are attached. So now I have, so what I have is this hardened steel plate, and it requires a 3x1 slot in the Edelweiss's get-up here in order to equip it. So to do that, I'd have to unequip something, like maybe, this bulletproof visor, which improves my accuracy. Nah, I think I want to keep that. Or maybe I... This interface is a little clunky, so this hardened plate increases that crit defense as well. Increases it by, I think, 50. So I'd kind of like to keep that too. So let's see if there's anything else on here that I don't think I need. That's crit defense, that's crit defense. Well, I probably don't need this as well, so I can take that off. Alright, so I've taken that off, and let's see what else we have here. As I said, this is a little bit clunky. I've never used, actually, the extra magazine, which basically this allows you to shoot your mortar twice, and that's it. So I'm going to take that off, too. Alright, so now you see I have 4 open blocks, but this hard steel plate that I want to equip I still can't fit it in. I've got to move things around for it, right? So I'm going to take the spare idler, I'm going to move it down here. Now I'm going to take this hardened plate, I'm going to move it here, and now the bulletproof visor, I'm going to move here, and then I'm going to take this hard steel plate, and I can finally equip that there. So you see how it works. I'm probably going to do some more rearranging on this tank later, but that's how you equip the tank. These are various things that add tread defense. I don't really think I need those right now, so we're going to back out. Now,
Come back again soon, bro. I mean it, man.
Now, for our last stop, well, our second to last stop, is the squad barracks and the command rooms. The squad barracks, you can look at everyone who's currently in your squad and change their equipment. So, for example, Herbert is one of my engineers, and I can go over here and change his weapon to either pick the X1 or the C1 or a ZM car, which is basically a weapon that I picked up off of one of the Imperial troops that we were fighting. He's currently on the Galleon X1. I don't know how it read my mind to go ahead and equip that, but that's good. That's what I want equipped. The Imperial weapons tend to be short range and very high damage. At least that's what I've seen so far. So he's properly equipped. You can see he's got the rest of the stuff that's on here, the grenade, the ragnade, the engineer's tool. I can't change any of that. Now also on this screen, you can see his statistics. So he's got 173 HP, he's got 600 AP, which is basically how far he can move. If you go over here, you look at his potentials, okay? So these two personal potentials are what he started with. Everyone will either start with 2 or 3. If they start with 2, then their 4th personal potential box right here will be X'd out. You see that slash going through it. Then, down here, these 4 are his battle potentials. So I've unlocked 1 battle potential on the engineer, which means occasionally, when he goes to repair a tank, he'll be like, "Ooh, repair boost!" And he increases, I think it's like 25 or 50% more HP that he repairs. So that's, as I said, battle potentials, always good. Personal potentials, sometimes bad. For example, he's a fatalist. If his HP gets really, really low, he has reduced firing accuracy, which, because he's an engineer, I kind of don't care. He's mostly out there to, like, repair my tank and heal other people. Like, engineers don't do a very good job shooting. But there's also good personal potentials, like Desert Bread. So this is really good for him. This is why Mr. Nielsen is one of my favorite engineers, is because when we're out in the desert, sometimes when he starts his turn and he's on sand, he'll be like, "Oh, now it's harder for you to shoot me this entire turn." Now, your officers in the squad, I think all, so Largo and Rosie and Alicia, their personal potentials are all good. And you unlock them as you go through the story. So, let's just go... Actually, I'm sorry. Rosie does have one bad one, the desert allergy, because otherwise she would be too good, because strong-willed is just fantastic. Which is basically when she's charging into, basically machine gun fire, she just, like, shrugs it off more. Like, she's very, very hard to kill. She's got a lot of hit points. And... Anyway, I'm rambling, but that's the idea. So yeah, you have all your different people here. You can go through on this, change their equipment, etc. Now, last thing is in the command room.
Hello, Welkin. Here to fine-tune your squad? Oh, and there have been some new recruits. You should take a look at the master list.
So you can have 20 people in your squad, of which it must include Alicia, Largo, and Rosie. So you have those 3 plus 17. On any given mission, you're going to be deploying like 7, 8, 9 at a time. At least what I've seen so far. But the rest of that squad is important because as you go through the game, you'll start running into missions where partway through you'll want to take some of your troops off the battlefield and then get fresh troops from your reserve, which are part of this squad that we're going to look at, and bring them in. So, for example, say I deploy 2 scouts on the battlefield. Say I deploy Alicia and Ted, because Ted is hilarious, okay? And then, partway through the fight, I've maybe taken an enemy camp or 2, and I'm like, oh, at this point I no longer need scouts, I really need more shock troopers. I can tell Ted, go home, right? When he's standing in a base, you can have him retreat, and then spend a command point to say bring in Jane, because Jane's also awesome. But you can only do that from the list in Squad 7 on the right. You can't do it from the list on the left. Now, you can look at their potentials here as well, but not their battle potentials. You can only see the battle potentials in the squad barracks, which is something kind of annoying. But you can see here, you know, Jane has 3 pretty good ones, right? When she's shooting the Imperials, which is all the time, occasionally gets a boost in accuracy. I'm sorry, the Child of Nature is a bad one. Doesn't like being on paved roads as much. Obliterates Lancers. All your people are like this. So, I'm not going to go through the process of pulling troops back and forth. I'll let you guys develop that strategy on your own, because I think that's part of the fun of the game. And that's it. That's what you do in headquarters. I think that's probably the most efficient way to get things done. Couple of other things. So you see Personnel tab, Weaponry tab. Let's go over to the Personnel tab. So Nancy was that new recruit that we got in. Nils was perhaps one of the people that Ms. Ellett on Castlefront Street said, she surprised them with an interview because he's a rising star. So previously, it just had those first 4 lines, but now it has the second 4 lines as well. So he's, he's a lone wolf, but he's, I don't know, super attractive. That's kind of what I get out of that. And one of the reasons why I like this game is it really makes you feel like you're invested in these characters, right? I mean, they're not just like... You can treat them as just nameless soldiers who you're sending out to fight and die as part of your squad, but they've really put in extra effort, I think, in this game to give each one their own voice, their own personality, and their own backstory, which takes a lot of care, and it just really impressed me. This game, I describe it as really charming. And there's not many games that I would describe as charming. And this game really is. The story so far is solid, serviceable. It's not the worst story I've seen in a game. It's not the best story I've seen in a game. The combat's great. It's good turn-based tactical combat with some third-person shooter elements thrown in. I've seen some criticisms of the game that say that they feel like the third-person shooting seems out of place. I don't. I think it's just fine. Kind of reminds me of a combination of like XCOM and Mass Effect, which are 2 games that I like. So there you have it. I recommend the game. I think it's a good game. It's on Steam for less than, I think for maybe $20 or $25. I got it on sale for $13. If you wait for like the Steam summer sale, then I think you'll probably get it for maybe even 10 or less than 10. It's definitely worth that much of it. The art style is gorgeous. I love the sort of meta story taking place in pages of a book. you flip through and you know, view cutscenes and start your battles from a book. And as I said, to me, that's really charming. So, for what it's worth, I recommend the game, and I hope this guide has been useful if you've picked it up, and I think that's about it from here. And I will thank you for watching Gersh's Guides. Leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe to the channel to get all of these. I'll be doing more if you guys like it, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers!